The Electric Scooter Podcast, episode 19, with firefighter, paramedic, adventurous, musician, that's him playing guitar right there, scooterhead and shop owner, Scott Carbone, in Newport Richey, Florida.
You to think for yourself. They don't want you to be someone else. Keep you locked up in your massive space.
Yeah, that's him right there, Scott Carbone from Newport Richey, Florida. Today we're going to talk about the Segway Ninebot, of which he knows a lot from experience. We also have a drop-in talking about the Magnum e-bike, which is cool. Oh, check out this guitar. Yeah, I love that swampy tone. You know, 2 doors down from his shop is a place called Norton's Music, and I bought a guitar. I flew from Las Vegas to Tampa to interview Scott, and there's this really cool music store just walking distance, I don't know, 100 feet from his shop. And I bought a late 60s Japanese guitar called a Del Rey, and that thing is sweet. Come on, that is good stuff. I could just keep listening to the music. The last episode, 18, at the end, I just played the whole song. I just said, come on, we're done with the podcast, but you want to hear some jams? Let her rip, Tater Chip. Yeah. So, listen to that tone. Let's get on with the interview. Scott Carbone from eCarve Scooters in Newport Richey, Florida. A place you should check out. Put it on your agenda. So the next thing I would like to discuss with you, Scott, is your selection of scooters to use as rentals. And you chose the Segway Ninebot.
I did. So with trial and error, I had to try to find what scooter would be worth it to rent. And there's so many different things you got to think about, right? You know, obviously
maintenance?
Maintenance obviously is the biggest one, and the ease.
Cost.
God, you're good. And then a lot of things that people don't think about is the average size of a American man.
Oh, yeah.
We're big.
Weight.
So you kind of don't want to discriminate against someone that's, you know, like over 200 pounds or like close to 3, right?
I didn't think of that.
Yeah. So you gotta. Well, I did. I had to think about, like, geez, you know, what scooter could knock off all those boxes as far as durability, range, speed, and how much weight they can withstand, and not just the weight, but how big a person can be on.
Sure.
So I'm not going to mention any of the other scooters we tried, but you know, you all can imagine out there, like the lesser brand scooter names, they're just not cutting it. They were just weak, power stunk. The range.
Do you know what the max weight is on the Ninebot?
Yeah, I believe it's 215 pounds is what they say, but that's not real world.
Yeah, it can take more.
It could take a lot more. You're just not going to get the range out of it. What's up, fellas? I got customers in my shop.
Okay. Yeah,
it's totally cool.
The Electric Scooter Podcast. The only podcast scientifically proven to make you smarter, better looking, a better dancer, and extremely attractive. Don't argue with science. We were talking about the Segway Ninebot and why Scott chose that as his primary rental scooter. We had a couple potential customers come in, and we got into a sideline discussion about helmets, which is also interesting. And we can continue that another time, or like I said, we can always do it on the telephone. I prefer doing this way with my podcast gear directly in a microphone because the sound is just way better. So let's continue. The Ninebot,
Ninebot line, bub.
A couple things that I, as a non-owner, like about this. There are a lot of things I really like about it, but I like 10-inch wheels. I love pneumatic. You can talk a little bit about, it'll be in a YouTube video as well if you want to go to Dagwood Street's YouTube channel, where there's an actual demonstration where Scott will show you the difference between using slime or some of the other products and what comes from the factory with Segway. But you have the 10-inch wheel, you have pneumatic tires. I do wish it had, we can't have everything, but hydraulic brakes would be the way to go. And not having a suspension is not a problem because you have the pneumatic tires. So I'll turn the microphone back over to you. And
dude, you kind of nailed it all. Okay, so basically, you know.
Sorry, I didn't mean to steal your thunder.
No, you steal nothing. So, like, we do rentals here. We're also full retail as well. So, as far as finding a scooter that's going to check off all the boxes for my customers' satisfaction, and for me, would be the Segway Ninebot G30 Max and the Segway Ninebot G30 Max LPs. They're just a little bit smaller. I went through the ES2s, the ES4s, and that's what some of the rental share companies use. Those are not very good, in my opinion. There's rough riding. The wobble of the stem wobble is very common in those.
They're probably tube tires also, right?
They are solid. I think one of them is solid.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think the rear tire is solid, and the front one maybe pneumatic.
Okay,
the tube. It's been a while, but so I went through those for a little bit, and I just found that those were just not very good for what I wanted to achieve. So I went with the Max G30s, and they're awesome for a commuter scooter, for the price, for the range, everything that you get when you purchase one of these or rent one of these. You're getting top quality. At the end of the day, are they going to have some issues? Everything has issues. It all depends on how you treat them.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because you are one person in I don't know how many million who is qualified to answer this question, because you have a whole line of scooters that people, some familiar with scooting and some not familiar with scooting, are all riding. So you must get recurring maintenance issues.
Yes.
So what are the things you
Great
see
question,
specific to the
all right.
Ninebot?
So I can go right for the biggest one that you see in every forum is the folding mechanism. There's like a turnbuckle, right? Okay, that's the one thing about Segway or Ninebot. That's a part they don't sell. Okay, so yeah, it's like the folding mechanism, right? It's kind of,
but to be fair, folding
point.
Mechanisms are a point of failure on many scooters.
On many scooters,
not just the Segway.
Correct. And you're going to have a few of those people that are going to say, "Oh, it just broke." That's BS. They don't just break. They break when you hit jumping curbs, putting stress on them when you're doing wheelies, or when you're constantly folding them, which, yes, they're made to be folded, but it's a basic maintenance that you can do to prolong the life of this. And again, if we had a video, I can show everyone like how to fix these current problems. Problem number 2.
Wait, let me ask you one question. Have you found, is there an aftermarket company that's got a solution for that? Because some of the scooters I know, Xiaomi and some of the other ones, aftermarket companies have stepped in and created something, a different way of collapsing the scooter. Is there anything for the Segway?
No, they're aftermarket products, right? And I don't recall the name of it, but there's an aftermarket product that you can purchase that will slip over the folding mechanism.
Right. That's right. What I've seen.
Yeah, and apparently they work out wonderful. Mm-hmm. They're a little expensive.
The Mantis Pro, or the Mantis, they had the Carbone Mantis, and it was having a lot of stem problems. And when they came out with the Mantis Pro, they remedied that. But in the meantime, there was an aftermarket company that stepped in and provided a solution for that.
Right.
And the Segway is so ubiquitous that I was thinking maybe some smart person, even in his garage, came up with a
They
solution.
yes. So there, if you go to any of these forums with this particular model, there are awesome like little engineering people out there that are creating a better stem with like this turnbuckle. They're using a better metal. But as far as just buying it and getting it out of the box, it is totally a very durable scooter, and they don't generally just break. Rarely do they just break.
The Electric Scooter Podcast. It's happening now.
I'm sorry, I got distracted.
No,
that is a
sweet bike.
bicycle,
This is my buddy here.
man.
How you doing, buddy? It's good to see you. Awesome. Doing podcast live. What? Yeah.
That is an
That's an
e-bike.
e-bike. Wow.
48 volt Magnum Summit. What, do you mind if I ask?
Come on in the podcast, bud.
What are those? What do those run? Do you are you okay with a podcast being broadcast?
I'm good. I did Toastmasters, so I'm good.
Oh, okay. Well, we're big in Australia, and we're kind of big in America.
That reminds me of the movie Singles when they were asking Citizen Dick, if they were getting popular, and he's like, "Well, we just had an album break big in Belgium."
That's awesome. I
Yes.
love that. So tell us about the Magnum Summit. It's just a little sidebar so
Yep.
Scott can hydrate.
Yeah, no worries. So Magnum is a company that makes e-bikes, I believe, in California, and I bought two of them. One is a Magnum MI5. It's a 27.5 mountain bike e-bike. That's 350 watts, and I wanted to use it mostly to commute to work up the Suncoast Trail, and it's about 20 miles. But I can ride a road bike at 20. So when I got it home, I was like, well, I can take it back. And my wife's like, well, why don't you just buy another one? Yeah. And I was like, what? Okay.
Yeah. Where did you meet her?
27 and a half.
Does she have a sister?
She does. She's married. But great. The 27 and a half is great for off-roading. I've taken it in the Starkey trails and twists and turns and everything. And it works great. This one's a little too big for that.
What was the cost on the first one?
So the MI5 27 and a half was $1,600.
That's not expensive.
This one, so I had to call the company direct. Cafe Racer down in Dunedin. I bought the other one. They were out of stock of everything else. So I called the company direct, got this 29er. It was $2,200, $2,300.
That is a surprisingly reasonable price. I'm standing here looking at this e-bike. It's a Magnum Summit 48 volt, and I'm telling you, it's beautiful. It's a two-tone green and black. Simply stunning looking. When you walked in, we're doing a podcast and we're focused on what we're doing. But when that thing came by, I was like, "Whoa, wait a second!" Sidebar, because we don't do electric bikes.
Okay.
But we do PEVs, so it qualifies, right?
Well,
yeah.
I tell you what, before I hand the reins back to Scott here, 500 watts. This one goes 26 miles an hour with pedal assist and 22 with the throttle.
Wow.
Anywhere from 30 to 60 miles on a charge, depending on what you're doing.
Right.
So, fantastic.
We have found, through other people doing experimentation that I've interviewed, that the difference a lot of times, on scooters for sure, and I imagine it's on bicycles, is that speed incredibly, of course, weight and hill and incline and all that, but the speed that you're going incredibly affects your range. On electric scooters, the difference, like on the Wolf Warrior, I was told through specific, scientific testing and everything, like 25 miles per hour, you might get 35 to 40 miles of range.
Maybe.
But you bump it up to only 30 miles an hour, and all of a sudden you're dropping way down to 25 to 30.
Yes, exactly.
It's huge.
Yeah, exactly. And I just rode this 20 miles from the house down the Suncoast Parkway Trail through Starkey Park Trail and then all the way down Massachusetts to here, downtown Newport Richey. And it says I got 1 and maybe 1.5 bars left. But I've run this thing empty, and I still had power. So I think there might be a problem with the meter.
Does it depend also, I'm sure it does, on how much you pedal? What percentage are you pedaling and what percentage are you throttling?
Yeah, no, I'm probably pedaling 98% of the time, and I'm on 5 or 6, which is the max pedal assist. So I'm going 25, 26. Today there was a massive headwind. It may not look like, but there's a headwind coming.
No, it doesn't
from
look like.
from the west, and
Okay.
so I was going westward. So I had that headwind 70% of the trip today. So it wore down the battery quite a bit.
Well, that's a good and bad comparison with electric scooters, because electric scooters, you don't pedal. So
Yeah.
it's not even an issue as part of the equation. But on an electric bicycle, you have the option of, if you run completely out of battery, out of juice, you just pedal your way
Yeah.
home, right?
And you could do that with a scooter, but it's a little bit not the same.
It is, yeah. And some of them you really wouldn't want to do. I imagine on a Ninebot you could go a good distance, but I have a 100-pound scooter.
Wow.
And you don't want to do that, especially if you're on, going up any kind of incline.
That's massive. So this thing weighs 60 pounds, 58 pounds.
Wow, incredible.
So with that, I had to get a heavy-duty platform bike rack, too, so that holds 60-pound bikes,
Do you own a scooter, an electric
I
scooter?
do. Yeah, in fact,
what do you
I've
own?
taken them to Scott to repair. I forgot the name of the brand. Do you remember?
Maybe a Xiaomi. Generally, if people don't know,
it's a better quality of the Xiaomi.
Oh, okay.
It's actually a very good scooter.
I'm
As far as like an entry level scooter,
Uh-huh.
it's a very good scooter. In fact, I would sell those here, because doing repairs on his daughter's scooters, I'm like, wow, this is built really well. Wow, like very, very well. Pneumatic tires.
You are so lucky to have a place to bring a scooter to have serviced.
well, of
Let
course.
me tell you, I live in Las Vegas. I don't know what we have. It's millions of people. I'd say 6 million or whatever. There's not there's one in Boulder City, a small-ish place, and I don't know how much they do on repairs. In fact, Zero to Epic, who's crossing the United States on a scooter, they're having his send-off there at that location in Boulder City today. But just being able to have a place to even bring. We talked earlier about tires, what a hassle it is.
Yep.
That is people's biggest problem. I saw a guy on YouTube who hasn't ridden. He's got like 8 or 9 scooters, but he has one scooter he likes, but he hasn't ridden it in 4 years because he got a flat tire. It's one of the earlier scooters,
dude.
and they didn't consider at the Chinese factory that people are ever going to do anything. It's just like push it out the door,
exactly,
get it sold.
Exactly.
You know,
Well, you got a
and
flat
then we're
tire.
done
You know
with it.
what? It's kaput. Buy a new one.
Well, you know the story with the non-inflatable.
Yes.
You can't even get them on.
Yeah. He bought
The solid
He wanted
tires?
the solid tires.
Are they honeycomb or solid?
They were.
Okay.
They wouldn't fit. So he bought them, and they just were not made for it. So with some scooters, you may see these aftermarket tires. There's no guarantee they're actually going to fit your rims.
That's right.
So you're going to spend all this money, wait weeks to get these.
Oh, and if you buy it off of Alibaba.
Well, exactly. But no, I mean, that's one thing I really like, the fact that I can repair scooters that are broken. I mean, to a certain extent.
I'm sure your customers like it. It's one of those things where if you don't know how fantastic it is to have a service like that until you don't. It's like a property manager. You take your property manager for granted, and then, when stuff really goes bad.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
Really
Come back here. So
people that live here, they don't know how lucky they are to have you here, because if your shop was in Las Vegas, oh my God, I'm not saying you'd be a millionaire overnight.
I wish I could do more repairs on the some of the lower end model scooters. I just don't carry those parts.
Right.
So I carry parts for the Zero line.
Well, people
I carry
need to
all
buy
parts
the
for
scooter
all
here.
Segway
Service scooters that you sell to people.
Well, that's the thing, and I do. But with the warranty issues, I have to tell those people, if they buy from here, hey, it's under warranty. You could send it back, and they'll take care of you. Or if it's something so minor, like, I can just do that for you real quick, But then we also get a lot of people that have bought from other online, like eBay or Amazon.
That's a nightmare.
There's no one for them to talk to, so they just come in here and I'll hook them up.
Every podcast, I must say at least one time, buy from a reputable distributor
Right. Buy
/
local,
dealer.
man.
Buy local. You get the satisfaction of knowing you're helping a local person build their business in your local area. That's kind of a bonus, and that's a little altruistic. But if you're an American and you want value for your money and service, it simply makes sense.
I you know what? I never used to think of that until I started my own business, thinking like, oh, how convenient it is to actually have me here for, like you said, for the people with scooters, you know.
And again, I'm not monetized, but when you're talking about warranty, 2 companies I would recommend to you as a distributor / dealer, Apollo, they're up in Canada, and Voro Motors in Los Angeles. Their reputation's stellar. I've dealt with Voro quite a bit, and you go to their webpage, and a little chat box comes up and says, "Hey, what can I help you with?" It's immediate.
Right.
Whereas Electric Scooter Guide, they have this whole webpage that says, each dealer and how quick they are to respond. And the average is, maybe a week or 2 weeks. I don't know. You have to go to the Electric Scooter Guide webpage and check it out yourself. But the ones near the really high end are like 3-4 days or whatever to get back to you. But Voro, if it's during working hours, it's immediate. It's amazing.
That's awesome. That's kind of what I want to be as well. I want to be able to respond to emails, phone calls, our website, or our social media, or even our shop. I'm really good about getting back with customers as soon as possible, because that carries weight, man. Customer service.
Oh yeah.
And just in general, customer service has kind of fell to the wayside. Mm-hmm. Well, I want to bring that back, baby. I want to have people coming in here knowing, hey, you know what? I may not like that particular brand that cat sells, but he's a cool dude, and he's going to help me anyway.
Yeah. And to establish that personal relationship is huge. Do you buy from China, or do you have an American distributor?
Great question, man. Oh, man. Okay, so I unfortunately have to deal with the middlemen. I'm not going to mention their name, but I tried to go to direct, and I know where every major manufacturer buys their scooters from. It's not hard to find out. There's a couple factories in China that are making all these scooters.
Yeah, that's a little unfortunate. It is what it is.
It is what it is. It's whatever, right?
Yeah,
it is what it is. So I tried to go direct, and I could, but we're such a small company, I can't afford to purchase a large shipping container full of scooters. You follow what I'm saying? I mean, it's
a small shop.
It's a small shop. I mean, we carry 25 rentals at all times, and we try to carry anywhere from 10 to 15 ones for sale. And that's either the Segway line, the Zero line, or even the one wheels. Because that's just my shop's small, and that's all I can really honestly afford. So I have to shop or purchase my scooters through one of the bigger scooter companies out there. That again, I don't want to mention their name. They've been awesome. But I gotta pay a little bit more than I should be paying for them. I'm still getting them at dealer cost, so the margins are not that good. But like we discussed earlier, I have a full-time job as well, and this is something that I want to do full-time, once I retire from my fire department. But
the Electric Scooter Podcast, episode 19, featuring Scott Carbone of eCarve, Port Richey, Florida. I would think, again, as not an entrepreneur and not a shop owner, that there is a certain level of convenience with buying from somebody in America and not dealing with that shop. I would not want to deal with a factory in China.
It's so hard. I mean, I've had multiple emails. And there is obviously a language barrier, so that's a little bit tricky, to kind of navigate through some of that stuff. But the shipping time to get product from over there is so long
and unreliable.
It's not reliable, and
could be a couple weeks, could be a couple months.
I have tried so hard to try to figure out how to do this where I can order a certain amount of scooters, get them on a shipping container, and then find somebody else that wants to do the same thing with other goods and add them to my shipping container and split the cost.
Sure.
Right? And there's a name for that. It's just slipping my mind right now.
Yeah, I'm familiar with
like
it.
An importer, somebody that's an importer.
Right.
I couldn't figure that one out either. So guess what? I'm a I get all my stuff from the factories and or companies in the U.S. that are based either in Texas. There's one now. It's based here in Florida that I'm dealing with, which is a lot easier. So it's working out.
I would
It's
probably
working
go
out.
that route anyway because
Yeah.
I like having somebody who's documenting things, and I'm willing to pay a little extra because if they know, for example, my Wolf Warrior, it comes from the factory with a wire that powers it, that runs directly to the battery, that when you collapse the steering stem, it is like scissors, and it'll clip that wire in half, and you're dead.
What?
In the wire. It's not a plug and play.
Wow.
It's one of those ones that's like hardwired to the battery. So if you buy a Wolf Warrior, it's another thing I like to say in my podcast. You, as an owner, when you get that thing out of the box, you need to put a zip tie on that right away. So I like to think and hope that these distributors that are selling to you, the shop owners, at least when the box arrives there, they know about these little things. They pull it out and they do the little things.
There
that they
is
do before
one.
they ship
Yeah,
it to you.
there is one. Can I say them?
Yes,
Who have
of
been
course.
absolutely.
We're not monetized.
Oh, okay, that's
You
right.
could say good,
so
bad, anything.
There's a company that's out there, and they're I think one of the bigger ones. They're called Rev Rides.
Oh, yeah,
and
sure.
they are phenomenal with their customer service.
I've heard good things.
And they take the scooters from where they get them from in China, and they actually put them through its paces.
They have the V-set line?
Yeah, the
Is that
V-set
right?
line, that's what I'm waiting on. We're going to start carrying the V-sets, but they're just not. They're all on back order. You know, they're new, of course. Everyone wants them, but rave reviews. But with Rev Rides, they actually do that. What you're talking about, they'll actually take them out, they'll run them, they'll check the tire pressure, they'll add sealant in them.
It's kind of a big deal.
It is a big deal. So when I get my product from them. I know it's all tuned. It's ready to go.
Right.
Just put them together, and boom.
Right.
So that's comforting.
I talked to a guy in Europe, and he was saying that there are companies there that call themselves distributors or shops or whatever, but all they are doing is getting them shipped from China. They go into a giant warehouse,
Right.
and from there, they're just taking the box
That's it,
and
man.
sending it to you, the shop
Yep,
owner,
yep.
without doing anything. But these guys at Rev Rides,
Yeah.
Apollo, and
It's Apollo, I'm hearing
Motors,
good things about,
and,
so.
Fluid Free Ride, they're checking these things
Yes,
out.
and that's awesome.
Before it comes
That's
to you.
awesome.
To me,
Yeah.
I'm willing to pay whatever
Well,
the extra
think
little
about
amount
if you're a
of money
customer.
is.
So you're getting that twofold because Rev Rides is doing it, or Apollo, and I'm doing it. In fact, every scooter that I've sold, when it comes to those like the Zero line, even the Ninebots, there's a small assembly required. I do all that. So when they come in, like I'm taking that box for the customer, I'm going through it, I'm checking it out. So I
been
think
che-
it's
it's
a
been
much
through
better
two
process.
complete procedures.
Absolutely, and I think the customers are feeling the love.
Right.
They're feeling like, hey, I'm spending this much money on something, and it's getting put together by a professional.
Yeah.
It came out of where I got it from with professionals. You follow what I'm saying? And I think it's a good
I will
thing.
pay an extra
Yeah.
$50 to not have to have my two front teeth replaced.
Sure.
At $3,000
Yeah, right,
each because
exactly.
a steering stem collapsed on me or something like that. Yeah.
But no, I mean, we try to carry quality products. I think that's a big thing. I could carry products that are much cheaper with a higher margin for me to make money, but they're just not. They're not very good. That I want customers to come back. I want customers to feel good about their purchase because some of these are very expensive, right? The Wolf Warrior, they're expensive scooters. They're not cheap. But
the Wolf Warrior, though, you do get a lot of bang.
You do.
for your
You get
buck. It's up
tons.
there with compared to Dualtron
Yeah.
and some of these other companies.
Dualtron
I wouldn't
Thunder,
compare
yeah.
them to Ryan because that's like a $7,000
Yeah, that's
carbon
different,
fiber,
though. That's not what we're
70
talking
mile an
about,
hour
right,
scooter. Yeah,
right.
but for me, for doing off road, having the front of basically a motorcycle on the front of your scooter, the dual stem, the shock absorbing, and just when you get on different scooters and jump on the Wolf Warrior, you really feel the difference. And that runs, you can get it for as low as $2,500. It's a super deal.
Yeah, but still, that's still a lot of money for a lot of people, right? So
You have
wanna
to
make
be
sure,
somebody who's investing
Yeah.
like I am serious about scooters, and it's even more of a hobby. It's kind of a passion. You're really going to go for it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're not, and if you live in a condo, you want
That's
something.
tough, man.
Maybe not more than 50 pounds, depending on how burly of a person you are. If you're going up, carrying it up and down stairs.
Yeah, it's heavy. So, like, speaking of like the Wolf Warrior, that's just one of those top line scooters that, like, if you're into scooters, that's the one that people want to buy because they're amazing.
Aspirational, yeah.
Right. I would love to carry those in my store. The issue that I think I come with, or I'm faced with, is they are kind of a higher price tag, and I don't know if the people around here yet are in tuned on how good scooters are nowadays. You follow?
Maybe
what
get
I'm saying?
one or two of them to stick out,
Well,
so people look at it and go, "Whoa!"
Right. So I do that with the Zero line, and those are babies compared to the Wolf, right? But my customers
They're
are
awesome
seeing those.
scooters.
Oh, they're great. There's nothing wrong with those at all. So my customers are starting to see when I display those, like how scooters can evolve. So the next step is like the V set, the 11s, even the 10, the 11, the 011 is a phenomenal.
Oh, the
scooter.
11X
Yes.
that's insanity.
It's-
Now mine, people said 101 pounds. The Wolf Warrior is nuts. The 11X is like 120
Yeah,
pounds.
it's sick.
And it is sick. It's like gonna rip the sockets out of your arms if you don't go into the P settings first and set it up for lower torque.
Yes, that
and
torque,
all that.
it will just throw you right off.
There he goes, folks. Scott Carbone, firefighter, paramedic, adventurous musician, scooter head, saving planet Earth and serving his community. We'll be hearing more from him. I have a strong feeling. But now, it's time for the news. Electric Scooter Podcast News.
Well, it's time.
What time is it?
For the news.
What kind of news?
Electric Scooter Podcast News.
I see.
It's time
It's time for the news.
for the news.
All right, you get the idea. It's time for the news. Yeah, I get the idea. It's time for the news. This just in. Host of the Electric Scooter Podcast claims that there are 6 million people in the Las Vegas Valley. There are not. It's more like over 2 million. Also in the news, Zero to Epic continues to cross the United States on electric scooters. So stay tuned. We're going to have some breaking news updates throughout his time crossing the United States. So stand by, watch out for that. You will be hearing Zero to Epic talking to your humble host.